Hey, how are you? It's Jeremy. It's time for the Classic Guitar Rock Daily Update for Thursday, August the 14th. These are available. Go out to classicguitarrock.net. Oh, they're only $15. They're at the top of the Twitter. I still call it Twitter. The X page. If you follow us on X, Classic Guitar at Classic Guitar R1. There's a link right at the top. $15. These are produced right in our own North Idaho sweatshop. But don't worry, Rich is the only person sweating in the sweatshop. Okay. No children manufacturing anything, none of that. We leave that to Apple. Okay. We don't do any of that. Okay. It's only Rich. He's the only one sweating in our sweatshop. We have some exciting news items on today's program. First one, shout out to the KISS Army. How about this? KISS has been selected to receive the Kennedy Center honors and will be presented the award by President Trump, who will host the ceremony on December 7th. Quote, Trump says, we'll be honoring one of the greatest rock bands of all times, KISS. Other nominees this year, by the way, or honorees this year include George Strait, Sylvester Stallone, Michael Crawford, Gloria Gaynor. It's awesome. It's awesome. KISS, I get it. Some people don't like KISS. Some people don't think they're great musicians. Whatever. The cultural impact made by, can you think of a band that has had a bigger cultural impact than KISS? Be honest. They might be the biggest. I mean, they're definitely in the top 3. So good for them. Trump continued, KISS became a global phenomenon, sold more than 100 million records worldwide and produced 30 gold albums and lots of other things they produced. They made a fortune, of course, we know that. And he says, this little teaser, they're going to do something very special. KISS is going to be here a little bit before the show, I think. They're going to do something special. We're going to have a great time. So great news for KISS fans, great news for KISS. Soon after the announcement, Eddie Trunk tweeted that he had been told by a very reliable source that only the 4 original members Trump named would receive the honors. And that's appropriate. I think we're all good with that. And they had all agreed to attend, but not perform. So it's going to be like when most of these, like when Led Zeppelin was an honoree. They didn't perform, but another group performed their music. Various people, and I assume a similar thing will happen. There'll probably be an all-star band that plays some KISS stuff, and that'll be KISS. I honestly think KISS launched more rock bands, at least in the 70s, 80s, 90s, the Gen X generation. I think KISS launched more than maybe even the Beatles, or on par with the Beatles. But it's cool. Last year's nominees included Francis Ford Coppola, the Grateful Dead, Bonnie Raitt, jazz trumpeter Ardo Sandoval, and the Apollo Theater. And I think KISS has been more culturally influential than any of those groups last year. And that's not a slam against them. That's just, KISS has always been dismissed by the critics, even though they've been very much embraced by the public, which is typically the case. And that's where I rant about organizations like Rolling Stone, like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. KISS should have been in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame the very first year they were eligible. But they just went in a few years ago. It's ridiculous. Green Day, don't get me started. Green Day went in the very first year they were eligible, and they blow. So there's no rhyme or reason. Well, you know the reason is it's all political and it's all elitism. And, if the common folks like a group, then usually these snobby institutions aren't going to like the group. That's just the way it goes. So that's cool. What did the members of KISS have to say? Gene Simmons said, KISS is the embodiment of the American dream. We are deeply honored to receive the Kennedy Center honor. And it's pretty powerful to go watch some of the interviews with Gene Simmons. Like him or not, it's still very powerful to go watch the interviews where he talks about immigrating here as a small child from Israel. And let me just say, he's very grateful to be an American, right? And he's very outspoken about it. And that's a good way to spend some time, is just go watch some interviews with Gene Simmons where he talks about it. Paul Stanley, he said, quote, "From our earliest days, KISS has embodied the American ideal that all things are possible and that hard work pays off. The prestige of the Kennedy Center honors cannot be overstated, and I accept this on behalf of the long legacy of KISS and all of the band members who helped create our iconic band." Fraley said, "It's a dream come true that I never thought would materialize." And Peter Criss said, "I feel so blessed. This is the greatest honor of our career." So looking forward to that. That'll be awesome. Congratulations to KISS on that. Now, here's an update, because it's something that we talk about all the time, but I think it's important to talk about it again, because, guys, this is the next 10 years of live classic rock. Maybe it'll go longer. And why do I say this is the next 10 years? Because, and I'm not trying to be creepy, I'm not trying to be dark. 10 years from now, most of our classic rock icons will be gone. Okay? They'll either be gone or unable to perform. Every year we lose more and more. Either they die or they just physically can't do it anymore. So Foreigner is perhaps one of the most blatant examples. They said, I think 2 or 3 years ago, that they were going to do one last tour, and Mick Jones at that point would occasionally come out and play 2 songs. He doesn't even do that anymore. They're still touring as Foreigner, not a single original member in there. And Kelly Hansen, who wasn't original, obviously, but had been in the band for like 25 years, he's retired. So now they're on their 3rd lead singer. So they're doing another tour with a twist, right? They're going to play with an orchestra. And, that's the thing. That's the thing a lot of these people do. Yngwie Malmsteen's done it. Deep Purple's done it. Styx has done it. So many people, they'll play with an orchestra. And it's kind of cool. Yeah, it's kind of cool. So that's what Foreigner's going to be doing. They're going to be playing with an orchestra. 5 opening shows take place at the Venetian Theater in Las Vegas. They'll be working with a 20-piece group playing arrangements written by cello virtuoso Dave Egger. Chick Palmer will serve as conductor, and that's kind of cool. Then they're going to go to Switzerland. No, that's not true. Sorry, I read that wrong. They memorably performed 2 sold-out concerts in 2017 in Lucerne, Switzerland, with an orchestra. Okay, so they've done this before, and they're doing it again. But the original point I was making was, here's your option. Here's your option. And this option won't be around forever. You can either go see classic rock bands that don't have all the original members, or maybe in this case, no original members, or you won't see them. So the choice is yours. Okay. Now, I will tell you this. Last summer, I saw Foreigner. It was an awesome show. And you just saw a tribute. So what? Tonight, guess who I'm seeing? I'm going to see Lynyrd Skynyrd tonight. Not a single original member in the band, right? However, Ricky Medlock was in Lynyrd Skynyrd before Blackfoot, but before Skynyrd was really took off, right? So he was, I guess you could say, he was an original member. He's definitely part of the legacy, and I think he's still in Lynyrd Skynyrd. I don't know. I haven't really been following up on that, but I'll give you a report. I bet it's going to be a great show. I mean, again, You go see them with non-original members, or you just don't see them. Choice is yours. Megadeth. Dave Mustaine, of course, he was a founding member of Metallica, famously was kicked out and sent home on a bus in the middle of a tour. Megadeth, and Dave, he's a curmudgeon. He's a grumpy old guy, but I like him. I'm just going to be honest. He's a grump, but I like him. I do. Megadeth will release their final studio album and embark on a farewell tour in 2026. The group revealed the news yesterday, or today, actually. Today. It just came out today after a countdown clock that had been running on their site expired. When the clock hit 0, it revealed, among other things, a video of a news report featuring the band's longtime mascot, Vic Rattlehead. So, Vic Rattlehead, the scary skeleton-looking guy. From his desk, Vic shared, quote, "For over 4 decades, I've been chained in silence, but the end demands my words. It is confirmed that the next Megadeth studio album will be the last. 40 years of metal forged in steel, ending in fire. And when the new world rises, the global farewell tour. You've heard the warning. Now prepare yourself, Cyber Army. Stay loud, stay tuned, and meet me on the front line." So, final album, final tour from Megadeth. Stay tuned for more information. One quote from Dave Mustaine shared a message, quote, "There's so many musicians that have come to the end of their career, whether accidental or intentional. Most of them don't get to go out on their own terms on top, and that's where I'm at in my life right now. I've traveled the world and have made millions upon millions of fans, and the hardest part of all of this is saying goodbye to them. We can't wait for you to hear this album and see us on tour. If there was ever a perfect time for us to put out a new album, it's now. If there was ever a perfect time to tour the world, it's now." And he goes on and says other things. You can check it out on our website. But again, for those of us in Gen X fans of the classic rock, the 70s, 80s rock, time is running out to see these folks live. So my personal opinion is take advantage of it. Yeah, it might not be all original members, whoever it is you go see. Are there any bands that are all original left? Are there? I don't know that there. ZZ Top for the longest time was one of the few. And of course, since Dusty died, that's not all original either. So again, it's your choice. You either go see them with non-original members or you just don't see them again. Your choice. All right. And one more thing, Joe Perry Project. A great album. Go back and listen to the first. I thought there were 2 Joe Perry Project albums back in the late 70s. Is there 2? I should know that. I know the first one, or the one I've heard, is really good. Let the Music Do the Talking actually originated as a Joe Perry Project tune, and then Aerosmith later did it. But the Joe Perry Project has kicked off their 2025 tour on Wednesday. They kicked it off at Tampa, Florida's Hard Rock Event Center with a vigorous and eclectic 19-song set featuring Perry deep cuts, Aerosmith classics, and a handful of songs from the All-Star lineups, other bands. So it's this kind of a kind of like Ringo's All-Star thing. It's a collection of all-star musicians, and so they do some stuff from their own catalogs and stuff. Chris Robinson from Black Crowes, he's on board. And some other folks I don't remember. I should know. But the Joe Perry Project possibly hitting a stage at a town near you. We'll see. Now, one final item here. I meant to share this earlier in this week, and it's not new. I thought it was. I saw a thing pop up in my feed, and I thought it was new, and I got excited, and then I found out this ain't new. This is a book that came out in 2019. That somehow I missed it, but I would highly recommend it. It's about the greatest band you've probably never heard of, Riot. Do you remember Riot? Swords and Tequila, Fire Down Under, a band destined to anonymity because of a stupid album cover. That's really what I think. At some point they decided, I know, Let's put a dude with a baby seal head as our mascot on every album. Yeah, that's the way you sell albums. So they did. So every early Riot album had this stupid looking dude. It's a man's body with a baby seal head. And if I saw that in the store, I'm not buying that. That looks too stupid. But let me just say, okay, you got Narita. That was what, 79. Fire Down Under in 1981. That is on my top 5 albums of all time. Fire Down Under from Riot. I bought it for 99 cents in the clearance rack. Okay. Actually, ordered it for 99 cents from the clearance rack on RCA Records. You remember the Columbia House and RCA Record Clubs? Yeah, 99 cents I got Fire Down Under. I bought it in 83. Okay. So 2 years after it had been released, it's already in the bargain bin. Again, because it's got a guy with the baby seal head on the cover of the album. I bet if they had not done that, they would have maybe sold some albums and maybe we'd be talking about them more often. But I digress. Fire Down Under in my top 5 albums of all time. And where am I going with this? There's a new book. This is not new. No. Came out in 2019. It's called Swords and Tequila, Riot's Classic First Decade. And it's written by the great Martin Popoff. It came out in 2019. I had no idea. So this is a plug for you to go out to Amazon and buy that book. Swords and Tequila, Riot's Classic First Decade, on paperback at Amazon. Yeah, came out in 2019. Riot in the mid to late 80s, they transitioned, right? Guy Speranza, their original singer, left. Rhett, what's his name? Rhett Forrester. I want to say Rhett Butler, but that's the guy in Gone with the Wind. Rhett Forrester came in, and he was a pretty good singer. He did 2 or 3 albums with them. He tragically, in like the mid 90s, was killed in a carjacking. It's really sad. But he was already gone. But by the late 80s, they had really morphed into a speed metal band. And in fact, that Thundersteel album, I think it came out in 86. That's kind of held up as like a pioneering speed metal album. But to be honest, guys, it's completely different than the classic Riot of Swords and Tequila fame, right? To me, that's just a lot better. But yeah, they kind of morphed into a speed metal band, and now they currently tour and exist as a group called Riot 5. And I've watched a few shows. Their lead singer's really good, but if you go see Riot 5, it's going to be 90% speed metal, and then they'll probably do Swords and Tequila, and they'll probably do Outlaw. I mean, you might hear 2, maybe 3 songs from the classic era. The rest is all speed metal. Nothing wrong with that. If you're a fan of Riot speed metal, that's great. But I'm a fan of the Guy Speranza era, Fire Down Under, and there's a book about that era. And, you know, obviously they never got the success they should have. Guy Speranza kind of left at the top as they were on their way up. Sammy Hagar was a big fan of Riot. He had them open for them a lot. And they were kind of thrown in there with the whole new wave of British heavy metal, even though they were from New Jersey, right? But they went to England, and actually that's kind of where they started having success. And then they were packaged with a lot of these hard rock tours of the late 70s, early 80s. You might see them opening for a Sammy Hagar or a Judas Priest, or, you know, think of the up at Pat Travers, right? The popular hard rock heavy metal bands of the early 80s. Chances are Riot opened for them, right? And they were a great band, but a number of things against them, right? Stupid marketing, stupid album artwork. They had some mismanagement. Mark Reale, the lead guitarist and kind of the main writer and the leader of the band, he had Crohn's disease, had a lot of health issues. He died about, 10 or 15 years ago. But go out. First of all, you got to go right now and listen to Fire Down Under, the whole album. There's one filler track on the album. Every other track is just killer. Okay. And then read about them. Reading is fundamental. Read about them. Swords and Tequila, Riot's classic first decade paperback by Martin Popoff, 2019. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you aren't listening to Classic Guitar Rock Radio, what's wrong with you? Go out and listen, and we'll do this all again later. Thank you so much. We'll see you. Take care.